on at all. Okay, Greg, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right. Are you ready?
We can hear you, and you are awesome. Go for it.
Okay. Today is going to be very interesting. We're not having one book report. We're having three. The first book is a book that I could not put down called Johnny Carson. The second book is a book that I put down 25 times called How to Be an Anti-Racist. And the last one I had to read twice is called The Creature from Jekyll Island. So let's start with a fun one. Johnny Carson, king of late night comedy, known to almost everybody. Well, this was written by his lawyer, and it's probably one of the most interesting books I've ever read. From the start to finish, it's like, this is a man that we thought we knew, but he's got a side to him way different than what we thought. He owned the Tonight Show program. When he died, he's worth $450 million in lots of assets, but an interesting life. The attorney that wrote this had a red telephone from his house to Johnny Carson's, and it's an interesting read. You will love it. Johnny Carson by Henry Bushkin. Great read. Next one, How to Become an Anti-Racist. I had to read this as part of a board that I sit on, and I didn't like it, to be honest with you. I started reading this book because I thought it was the right thing to do, and I finished it because it was the right thing to do. But I'm here to tell you that racism in Bellingham, Washington is a whole lot different than racism in other parts of the country. And from the standpoint that a lot of us just don't understand it because we haven't lived in an area where it's real severe. So I struggled through this book. I think the writer, Ibram Kendi, is average. I think the topic is really on the forefront of the United States of America. And I think if you read this and get through it, it will pause you to, you'll step back and say, wait a minute, there's some stuff here that I didn't understand, and now I do. So it caused me in Bellingham, Washington, to look at racism differently, and I understand it better. And although it's a dry read, it's something that I think everybody could read and really understand and analyze in their own selves. What's racism really all about? How to Be an Anti-Racist, Ibram Kendi. Last but not least, this is called The Creature from Jekyll Island by Griffin. It's 500 and some odd pages. It's a heavy duty book. This book is basically written about the creation of the banking system in the United States and the Federal Reserve System. And what's interesting is this book really, there's no standards. Basically, this is not a banking system that had reserves, and it's truly the most unusual read you've ever looked at in your life. Every adult in the United States of America should read this book. The original 6 or 7 wealthy people that started this trip to Jekyll Island off of Georgia, they took their fancy railroad cars and they went down there, and these 6 or 7 people at the time represented about 1/4 of the worth in the United States, actually in the world. The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, the Morgans, and they put together a plan of attack for a banking system. And you're not going to believe some of the stuff that happened. You know, these guys financed both sides of wars, presidential elections, and a lot of this was written, and this process was started to avoid other banks getting in the business. And so I wholeheartedly suggest that you read this to be a better United States citizen. And even though the book is very thick, in front of each chapter, it gives you a little information to start with, and it gives you a summary, so it's not totally overwhelming. The Creature from Jekyll Island by Griffin. Thank you for listening.